In part one, we basked in the glory of Scottsdale, Arizona's many dazzling perks. But this here is part two, and in part two, I tell no lies. It's time to talk about the unique challenges that await those who dare to call this city home. From the intricate tapestry of school ratings to the fascinating encounters with desert denizens. I'm about to unveil the secrets of Scottsdale living and will finally answer if this is in fact the right move for you. So sit back and take your notes as I take you through the 6 cons of living in Scottsdale, Arizona.
All right, here we are, part two of our pros and cons video for Scottsdale. In part one, we talked about the pros. Today, we're going to talk about maybe some of the drawbacks or things that you at least want to plan for and consider before moving here to Scottsdale, Arizona. So let's jump right in. Reason number one, or con number one, we'll call it, is going to be schools. Now, across the Phoenix Metro, we're not known for having the greatest of schools. Yes, there's other states, there's other cities that have better schools. However, Scottsdale, I will tell you, is one of the better school districts here in the Phoenix Metro. And as you move further north in Scottsdale, the schools are pretty good. If you're in South Scottsdale, not so good. So remember, in that first video, we talked about one of the pros being school choice. Just remember that we do have school choice here. So if you end up living in a neighborhood where you really love the home but don't love the school district, we can get you moved. But again, it's one of those things that you may want to plan for before coming out, so we can at least get you close to the schools that you want to be in. So that drawback number one is going to be schools and kind of finding those pockets where we want to live to get your kids into the right school districts. Number two is going to be water supply, something that we weren't talking about. You know, it's always been a thing down here in the Southwest, I guess, but we're talking more and more about it today than we ever have before. Look, I'm not the water authority. I'm not going to go into a long thing about water right now, but I will tell you this. I started my real estate career in Las Vegas back in 1999. And Las Vegas is almost their entire water supply comes directly out of Lake Mead. In fact, I believe, if I've heard right, 90% of their water comes directly out of Lake Mead. Here in Arizona, we have aquifers, so our water is stored in underground. We have underground water storage, natural storage here in Arizona. Last I heard, if Lake Mead ran dry, God forbid it ever did, but if it did, we would still have about a 10-year water supply. Now, I will tell you, they're still issuing building permits here, and in order to issue a building permit, you have to be able to show a 100-year water supply. So yes, it is an issue. It is something we're talking about. You do see some areas here locally that you know, city legislatures are talking about cutting back, like farmers, potentially golf courses, and some of that stuff. As a general rule, it hasn't affected residents here. As of now, we'll see what the future holds. Certainly wouldn't prevent me from moving here. A good portion of the Southwest is affected by this. But again, that's one of the things that, you know, people are talking about it, so we would definitely wanted to address it in this video as con number two.
You know, I created Phoenix Homes and Hotspots to connect homes with the lifestyle around those homes using the power of video and community. What's up, everybody? My name is Todd Hall. I'm founder of Phoenix Homes and Hotspots right here in beautiful, sunny Phoenix, Arizona. Hey, if you're moving to the Phoenix Metro or thinking about moving to Phoenix, Scottsdale, and you want to know not just where all the great homes are, but what is the community like that surrounds that house, and as well as all the local hotspots in the area, restaurants, shopping, hiking, golf, whatever it might be, you've come to the right spot. We're going to connect all the dots for you. And listen, if you're coming out to the Phoenix Metro, you want to do some of our homes and hotspots tours, all you got to do is give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. That way we can be your key to AZ.
Now, number three is going to be limited public transportation. If you're coming from a major city, I grew up in Seattle, where I, as a kid, 18 years old, instead of driving my car from the east side of Seattle, Kirkland, Washington, into downtown Seattle, which is where I was working at the time in high school, I took the city bus. And there were city buses everywhere. You could take it almost anywhere in the city and get, get from the east side to the west side, the north side to the south side. I mean, you could take a city bus and get almost anywhere in the greater Seattle area, which is a huge area. You could take the ferry from downtown Seattle over to Whidbey Island and commute on the ferry. Of course, we don't have the waterways here, but we also don't have great infrastructure. Yes, we have city buses. We now have some light rail, although it's not connected real well, especially out into the suburb areas. You're just not going to see an extensive city bus schedule. So it's not that we don't have public transportation. It's just not as elaborate. It's not as connected as what you're going to see in some of the other major metropolitan cities that some of you may be coming from. So expect to drive a little bit more if you're a city bus or a public transportation type of person. Do expect that you're probably going to use your car a little bit more here in the Phoenix Metro and here in Scottsdale, Arizona. All right, number 4 on our list is home prices. Yes, home prices have gone up quite a bit. Now, depending on where you're coming from, our home prices are probably still pretty cheap for you. So that's the benefit. The negative is, yeah, they've gone up a lot. In fact, wasn't that long ago, a few years ago, you could still get you can still buy a home in the south side of Scottsdale, down towards Old Town Scottsdale. You can still buy a home under $500,000. Now, the nicer homes are well over $600,000. Just for entry homes, 16 to 1,800 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, built in the 1950s, 60s, which is nice because they're historic. It's not, they're not just old rundown areas. Not all of them. Some of them might be a little bit more than others, but investors have gone in, done a great job remodeling some of them. But again, home prices, if you're up in the North Scottsdale area, for a nice home, you're going to pay well over $1 million if you're in kind of those 3 northern Scottsdale zip codes that I call North Scottsdale, 85255, 85262, and 85266. Anything north of the 101 freeway, yeah, you're going to pay. You could still find some condos excuse me, in townhomes for a little bit less, for under that. But if you're buying a single family home, expect you're going to pay in that $1 million range up in North Scottsdale. And then the central part of Scottsdale, again, prices are up everywhere, up 20+% across Scottsdale over the last several years since COVID, really. Even with the recent dip, we're still up well over 20% in our home prices. But again, is it a negative? Yeah, mostly for locals. There are still locals, obviously, that can afford our home prices. But for most of you, again, our home prices are going to be still pretty affordable for what you're getting compared to where you're actually coming from.
I've been in the real estate business now since 1999. So I know your pain points. And the number one pain point is finding the right real estate consultant to work with, but the other one is finding the right loan broker. Now listen, I haven't told very many people this, but my first couple of years in the business, I almost left the business. And it was because there were things in a real estate transaction that I personally couldn't control. And that number one thing was that my loan brokers that I was referring my clients to were dropping the ball. Couldn't have been more frustrating. So I know if it was frustrating for me, it's frustrating for you. Look, you need somebody that's going to give you the best communication. They're going to do what they say they do. They close your loan on time, but also they give you the best pricing, the lowest interest rates, and the lowest closing costs without having to haggle with them. The loan team I work with now, I've been working with since 2005. They are the best of the best of the best. My clients thank me every time they use them. If you want them as well on your team, you want to be on our team, you know what to do. Pick up the phone, give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email, and I'll make sure you get hooked up with the best team here in the Phoenix Metro. Now listen, let's get back to this video.
All right, number 5 on that cons list is wildlife encounters. Yes, we do have wildlife out here. We have desert wildlife here in Arizona. So maybe we'll just start with some of the household pets that you might find, or household critters, if you will, that you might find, stuff that you might find around your house, in your yard, or maybe even creeping into the inside of your house. Scorpions is number 1. Now, if scorpions are a concern for you, definitely contact me. me. I have, outside of just normal pest control, I have some options in terms of really minimizing scorpions getting into your home. So it's called Delta Dust, by the way. I'll just tell you right now. It's called Delta Dust. You can use that around the cracks and stuff. So scorpions, certainly a way of life out here. They're not the big, huge ones that you see in movies, but kind of just the little guys. Not going to kill you, but they do pack a punch. You're going to feel it for a few days if you get stung by one. I don't know too many people that have been stung. I do know a few people here and there. If it happens, you're going to have a little bit of pain for a few days and you're going to move on. Then we also have, obviously, snakes could be around your house. The closer you live to the desert, the better chance you have of having some snakes around your actual house. If you live in Old Town Scottsdale or something a little bit more urban, probably not going to see that. So as you move further north, especially north of the 101 up into North Scottsdale, you're surrounded by a lot more desert. You're more apt to see some of these critters than others. But again, just a way of life here. So snakes, scorpions. Then as you get into the desert areas, and actually you see them even in Old Town Scottsdale on the golf courses where it's more urban, you're going to see some coyotes. As a general rule, they're going to leave you alone. The coyotes are as afraid of you as you are of them. Certainly, I probably wouldn't want to run into a pack of coyotes at night, but I'm not trekking around the desert in the middle of darkness. So as a general rule, coyotes are going to leave you alone. However, here's where we got to start talking about your pets. If you have a cat that likes to dart, I'm going to have to address that, right? Even having your dog out in the, small dogs out in your backyard in the middle of the night, not only do we have coyotes that can scale your fence every once in a while, depending on the size of your fence. From time to time, there could be a mountain lion. Again, depending on where you live, more so in the desert areas up north as opposed to the urban south. But I've heard stories. So you want to keep your pets close. You want to keep an eye on those pets and make sure that they're secure with those particular forms of wildlife. And then we have javelinas. Javelinas are like a really ugly pig. I don't know how else to explain them. I probably should look up the definition and give you a better explanation. But they're just kind of like a desert pig, and they can be. You don't want to get too close. They don't like to be bothered. If you photograph them or video them from a distance, they'll be fine. If you start walking up on them, they will charge, right? And they do tend every once in a while to just wander through neighborhoods. So javelinas is one more, and then I miss bobcats. So you will find some bobcats. Not real big, not a huge threat, but again, you don't want to get those. You don't want to have your cats on the loose out in the desert in the middle of the night. So that was number 5, wildlife encounters as that con, and then con number 6. It's gonna be summer monsoons. Some years are worse than others. Summer monsoons basically almost sometimes you have hurricane force, like almost a hurricane forced wind that will blow through, and then lots and lots of rain. So we don't get a ton of rain here in Arizona. Certainly a benefit. We get lots of sunshine like what you're seeing out here today. We do get some rain. During the summer months, you're going to get those monsoon rains, which are the big downpours. Usually it lasts couple hours and moves on. Some summers are worse than others. Some summers you can get them several times a week. Some summers, like this summer, was really moderate. We would get them every couple weeks during the summer months. Winter months are great. Spring and fall is great. It's those hot summer months where we can get some of the monsoons. And then some of you have heard about the haboobs as well, where you get the big dust storms that roll through. You get a big gust of wind that just picks up all the dust out in the desert and blows it right through the city and kind of just covers the city. Not real dangerous other than visibility, but just something to be aware of when you're coming out here. So number 6 on that list again was monsoons, and then number 7, tourism. Now, if you're in North Scottsdale, depending on the time of year, by the way, tourism really affects the entire city of Scottsdale because it's such a popular destination for tourists. People will come out here all throughout the year, not as much in the summer, but just to play golf. They'll plan golf outings. January, February, March, and into April, we have so much going on in Scottsdale. We have starting with the Barrett Jackson Auto Auction, then moving into the Waste Management Phoenix Open, then moving into spring training, all the festivals, events, and just fun activities we have during those great late winter, spring months. Bring so many people to town. So if you're in Old Town Scottsdale, you're going to feel a lot more traffic during those months. You're also going to have the snowbirds that are here at the same time. So you're just going to have a lot of people that aren't always here throughout the year that are going to hit certain times a year, and you're going to feel a little bit more traffic and congestion. One of the great things about Arizona is traffic's not that bad. We talked about it in the first video. We're actually really spoiled here. So even when there's lots of tourism, our traffic isn't as bad as it is in most major cities. Now, as you're further north in North Scottsdale, you're not going to feel it quite as much because it's not as urban. However, again, you are going to have more people here. You're going to have more snowbirds, and you're going to have more tourists here during a good portion of that year. So you will feel a little bit more traffic on your roads up in North Scottsdale as well. But overall, again, for a major metropolitan city, not as bad as what you might expect in other cities.
Hey, did you like that video? Show me some love. Hit the like button down below, drop a comment, let me know what your thoughts were. Then be sure you subscribe and tap that alert bell. And from there, I'm gonna do all the heavy lifting for you. We'll create the content. We will notify you every time we create new popular videos right here on Phoenix Homes and Hotspots. And then check the description below. I have some other related videos down there, or you can check out two of my most popular videos right here.